when you're planning your projects or any shoot, you really need to be aware of what you can and can't do as a photographer and how the law is there to protect you. Basically, the most important thing is it's not illegal to take pictures in a public place in the UK. Doesn't matter what's happening. It's the law is it's illegal to take photographs, or it's you require permission to take photographs if the land that you're on or the building you're in is privately owned. But if it's a public place, there's nothing to stop you taking pictures. Right, this is quite a wordy slide and I apologise for that, so I'm going to read it to you. It says, under UK law, there are no restrictions on taking photographs in a public place or on photography of individuals, whether they are adults or minors. There's some other issues that we need to discuss there, which is not to do with the law, but we'll come back to them in a minute. There is no right to privacy in a public place, although photographers are of course subject to the usual libel laws in the same way as any other citizen and should observe them. Equipment or film may not be confiscated or images deleted by any person or officer unless a warrant for such action is issued. Any attempt without a warrant is considered assault under UK law. So there's ethical considerations, and which is why when I read the bit about adults or minors, and also think about your own protection as well. So if you start photographing children, and somebody could easily challenge you and get yourself into a lot of trouble. It's not against the law, but it's frowned upon, and is there's ethical considerations. When I take street photographs, I have a little set of rules. Certain things, certain people, certain types of people I won't photograph. I don't photograph people who appear to be unfortunate in any way, and I don't photograph children, and I don't photograph women. I don't photograph women that look as though I might be interested in them for other reasons other than making comical photographs. Members of the public and the media do not need a permit to film or photograph in public places, and police have no power to stop them filming or photographing incidents or police personnel. So there's a few misunderstandings on that, and even the police sometimes don't understand it. So just be aware that whatever the law is, there are considerations that might protect yourself in a situation. You don't want to get yourself into a confrontation. So just be conscious. But when you're planning, you're going to need to know certain things. So officers do not have the power to delete digital images or destroy film at any point during a search. Deletion or destruction may only take place following seizure if there is a lawful power, such as a court order, that permits such deletion or destruction. So they'd need a warrant before they can delete or destroy your equipment or film. So copyright. A few misunderstandings about copyright. It's important to get this right. So the copyright belongs to the author, and as a photographer, you're the author. The definition of author is the individual or organisation that owns the raw material at the time the pictures were made. So in the case of digital photography, the raw material is considered to be the SD card. As you're the author, original author, the work automatically contains your copyright, and you retain the rights to use the image even if it's not labelled. So what does this imply? Right, no one has the right to reproduce your images without your permission. Okay? There's no way anybody So so this thing about like Facebook and Instagram saying people saying they take over the copyright, they can't. The copyright belongs to the author. There's no registration agency in the UK, so you don't need to register a picture to be for it to be copyrighted. It's automatically the copyright automatically goes to the author. Copyright expiration for an image in print or digital format is 70 years from the date of the author's death. So you own the copyright for life, and your estate owns that up to 70 years after your death. Model release forms. Okay, so model release forms. Now, some of the units that we work with, none of the units I think we're working with me at the moment, but probably with Jared. Some of the units we work with actually require you to get a model release form, but the law is that you don't need a model release form to take pictures. You need a model release form to publish them. Okay, so when we, either me or Jared, ask you to get a model release form signed, it's because it's an exercise, it's an academic exercise. It's not part of the law. You don't need permission to photograph anyone. Okay, which is why street photography is okay legally. Okay, there's ethical considerations, as we said before, but legally, you don't need permission to photograph people. You do need permission to publish a photo for commercial purposes if you're going to get paid for it. So if you take a picture of a model or an individual, and then you sell that to a commercial organisation, then if you haven't got permission to do that, you haven't got a signed form, then you are actually breaking the law. So it's generally accepted to take a picture of a person in a public place, as long as they're in a public place, without a release form. So where you would be breaking the law is if you took a picture of a person in a place that was privately owned. Okay, and it's not the picture of the person because there's no right of privacy. It's where you are. But if you use that for commercial purposes, like promoting a product, it's better to be safe and get a model release form. So here's what we'd like you to do. I'd like you to do some research and make some notes and put those notes in your sense of place folder. So how does the law protect you? Find that out as a photographer. I've told you things, and if you look back at the film, you might be able to pick up some links there. Obviously, you can't click on the links because it's embedded in the film, but you can write down some of those links, and that will give you some more information. The basics of copyright law and permissions. So the copyright law was changed in 1988, and it became the Copyright Designs and Patents Act. And that was when copyright was automatically awarded to the author. And then the definition of the author, as I said, was the person or company that owns the raw material at the time the images were made. So just look that up, Copyright Designs and Patents Act 1988. And why use a model release form and location release? So I didn't mention location release there, but if you're photographing on private property, you might need to get a location release. Okay.